Patrick's fans, welcome back to another edition of Caglianone's Corner. I'm joined here today by head coach Lenny Caglianone. Now, Lenny, before we get into this past weekend, I actually want to go back a little bit to top prospects. I know we didn't get to really touch on it much. Now, to start off, a little chaotic, I heard. You actually had to make the drive up with the guys. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, we were at the airport. We were at LaGuardia in New York, and we're sitting there in the lounge. Me, Rocker, Nico, Sal, and Uzi, and we're just getting the text messages: flights delayed. So we're hanging out, right, and just waiting to go to the gate, and then the flight gets canceled. So, now we're at like 9 o'clock, right? And we're trying to figure out what to do, if we can get on other flights, different airports and everything. And long story short, I just made the executive decision that it'd be a good idea to get in a car and drive in the snow, in the storm, through the night, and get the guys there in a pretty decent time, at a pretty decent time. I think we got there. We had to wait for bags and everything, so that that's like rocket science for the airports to put a bag on the conveyor belt. So that took a decent amount of time. Then the process to get a rental car is actually insane. You need everything but your social security number ready. So that was pretty tough as well. And then finally getting on the road at like 10 o'clock and white knuckle driving through Pennsylvania and making our way up and stop here and there to get the boys food and wind up getting there I think at like 9 o'clock. Took an hour and a half nap while the boys were sleeping the entire ride up. I kind of told them like, hey, just sit in the back and get some rest, get some sleep. Like, you guys got to play for the next 2 games and it's super important, obviously. So just had a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
Think about a lot of things when you're driving alone through the night. Just got an hour and a half of sleep. Then wind up bringing Nico to the rink, and just got to work networking, trying to get the right eyes on these guys, and drove back. About 36 hours later. So it was definitely it was good though. Like, to be honest with you, I got very close to the guys. It was a good bonding experience with them, and it gave me a chance to take my coaching hat off and just kind of be more of a bigger brother to them than anything. And I had a lot of fun. Like, I enjoyed it as well. And, it was good to intermingle with some of the other guys in the league as well. And my good buddy, Nick Skurlick, and my other very, very good buddy, Craig DeRemus as well. So it's always good to rub elbows and share some time with those guys as well. So interesting enough, but definitely took about 4 or 5 years off my life in 72 hours. So.
Well, it seems to have added some energy for Nico. 4 goals throughout the 2 games he played in the tournament, including a hat trick and being the leading scorer of said tournament. For you, watching that second game, I mean, were you expecting it to happen, or it just kind of happened and you were like, oh my God?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think going into it, I kind of just sat down and I was like, hey, listen, there's going to be big boy eyes there. You are on the central scouting team. I know teams are going to be there, and we just talked about what he needed to do that maybe sometimes he's inconsistent with here, or kind of just is missing from his game. And I think realistically, having some of that game plan mapped out, it definitely allowed him to play a little bit looser. I thought he played very heavy. I was super, super excited to see that, get some physicality injected to his game. I mean, listen, he's on a team and a line with guys who have kind of that same cerebral and cognizant presence, and it was good to see him take advantage of that, and I think that's what gave him a good performance. He did have good line mates as well, so I was happy for him and the other guys as well.
Absolutely. And then kind of going right into this past weekend, unfortunate one with Rochester. I know Friday's interview post-game, it caught a lot of buzz. However, on my end, knowing you for as long as I've known you this season, I know you don't tend to sugarcoat things. You tell it how it is, and I respect that a lot. However, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'd rather hear from you, your take on that, and your take on the weekend as a whole.
Yeah, I think for us, I think it starts with our culture in the room, right? No one's here with us. It's a very intimate process in regards to how we build the week, right? there's a lot of time and effort that gets put in from both sides, and it calls for a lot of accountability. It calls for a lot of honesty, both with the coaches and our work ethic, and the players and their attention to detail and their commitment. And I think when we all sit down, and I had a conversation with the room after that, and I'm like, hey, listen, we need to be better here, and we need to be accountable, and we need to be honest with ourselves, right? The context of where a lot of that was coming from, we had lost 5 games in a row.
Yes.
We had lost 3 games on our home ice. The state of our current play was unacceptable. And listen, I'm always completely honest and transparent, and I am with my guys, and I am with this process, because I think realistically these boys, they're owed the honesty aspect, right? And are there certain ways to deliver certain messages? 100%. And again, no one's been in our room and no one's vetted, the situation like we have, myself and Dino. And for us to get the most out of the guys, we need to take our own approach, right? There's a lot of people who could look from the fishbowl, but no one's really inside of it except for myself, Nick, and the rest of the team. We will handle things accordingly and how we see fit. So for me, it's about getting the most out of my guys. They deserve that. I'm not a big radio silence guy. I don't take that approach. I think it shows instability and weakness. We meet things on the head here, right? We don't create gray areas. We eliminate them. And I thought my room responded well. I thought there was a considerable and dramatic increase from our commitment level emotionally and mentally and physically in Saturday's game than there was Friday. I got what I needed out of them, right? It's unfortunate, right? We gave up 2 goals, empty net goal, but I mean the attention to detail in our 1-1-3 and the consistency throughout the 60, right? Like, we didn't give up in the third. We kept battling. We kept doing the things that we needed to do. We had strong games from Ryan Croshaw. We had strong games from guys who had minimal roles like Joey Anderson and Joe Milozzi. We had good individual efforts. We had guys who had details, who had commitment levels that weren't there 24 hours before, right? I thought Jack Harney played an elite game with a stick. I thought he defended well. I thought Chance Uzel, took his narrative, right, from playing on Rochester in the beginning of the season and turned it into fuel. I thought he stepped up. It was just a different team. But then again, right, you have to recollect after that Saturday game and say, hey, listen, and I said it in the post-game interview, if we applied this to any other opponent, you guys are going to win majority of them. And that's what I need. And sometimes you have to go, above and beyond, and you have to say some things and do some things that aren't necessarily going to be looked upon as progressive and productive. But again, no one knows the process like myself, Nick, and our players do. And that's all we're concerned about. We're concerned about the noise inside of our room, not outside of it. And we know how to handle that. I have mature human beings, and I have guys who, yes, may be inconsistent with that, but we know at the end of the day what we're capable of. We know at the end of the day what we need to do. And I think it's a damn shame for some guys who take the easy road, that don't want to give their room the spark to go out and perform better and to do more. And that's what type of guy I am. I'm very passionate human being. I'm very passionate about this process. Very passionate about those guys in the room. I love every single one of them as individuals and as a team collectively. And that's why I work as hard as I do, and that's why Nick works as hard as he does, and I think that's why you work as hard as you do. And the people behind the camera, for those individuals in that room, and there's going to be some tough love. People need to understand that.
Absolutely. And now we're heading into our final full weekend road trip of the season, this time against the Maryland Black Bears, which haven't had the best of outings with this season in our 4 matchups, 0-3-1 at the moment. And currently we're tied with our longest losing streak of the season at 6 games. For you, just the mental drive this week, what is it looking like?
I think, like, again, I'm a guy who likes to keep the room open. I have an open door policy. Like, we talk a lot. We have a lot of interaction, both as a group and as individuals. We're just tired of losing at this point, right? I think now it's a pride thing. I think I always say it's easy to invest in the things that are going to enable you to lose, right? Because there's just less work you have to put into it. And I think, guys, now it's a pride thing. We are tired of losing. We don't want to. We have a little bit of a fire, right? We've changed the approach in practice. We've made it more skill-based, right? We've had struggles scoring, and I think for us, we're on the right course, right? The build-up for the games this weekend, the past 2 days of practice, they've been intense. They've been passionate. Everything all the ingredients you need to create a great dish, right, for this weekend. But going in, like, listen, again, I have an incredible amount of respect for Clint, what he does there, and how his team plays, right? It's borderline envious a little bit sometimes, because I do love their systems, I love their approach. But what's good for us is we're a heavy transition team. We create a lot off of transition, and that's where our superlatives lie, right? Like, that's where we're good, we're effective, we execute off of that. Now, more so, can we layer it with putting the puck in the net? That's the only thing. That's what was missing from that Saturday game. Everything was great, and then you go in and we don't put a puck in the net. That's going to be our biggest issue. Can we put a puck in the net? And I think in regards to maybe some of their commitment to structure Maryland, where we play a little bit more looser than them, I think it'll open things up. And I think now, the clock is at 11:59. It's our job to push it back. Do we do it this weekend? I'm overly confident we do. I think we produce here, and I know the guys are confident in that room, and like I said, I have full confidence in everybody in there. We're more than well equipped to handle games like this.
Absolutely. And fans, you can watch both games live on NETV this Friday the 7th at 7 p.m. and Saturday the 8th at 6:30 p.m. Lenny, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.